If you require ADA assistance or accommodations, please notify the city clerk or any staff member, and we will be happy to assist you. As a courtesy to everyone present, please silence all cell phones and electronic devices at this time. Lobbyist disclosure reminder. If you are a lobbyist appearing before the City Commission or any city board, you must have registered with the city clerk prior to participating. If you have not yet registered, please do so immediately. Presentation reminder. If you submitted a presentation within the 24 hours prior to the start of today's meeting, please check the computer located at the podium to ensure your file is properly loaded. When the floor opens for public comment, please step up to the podium, speak clearly into the microphone, and begin by stating your name and address for the record. How to participate in public meetings via Zoom. Once you have joined the Zoom meeting, go to the bottom panel and click on the raise hand icon to notify the meeting host that you would like to speak. As soon as the host grants you permission to speak, a dialog box will pop up on your screen with two options. Select the unmute button to begin speaking. After you finish speaking, mute your microphone and click on the lower hand icon. If you are joining Zoom via phone, tap the keypad icon and press star 9 to notify the meeting host that you have raised your hand to speak. A voice operator will prompt you to unmute your microphone by pressing star 6. Once unmuted, you may begin speaking. After you finish sharing your comments, be sure to press star 9 to lower your hand and star 6 to mute yourself. We kindly ask everyone to conduct themselves in a respectful and professional manner throughout today's meeting. Thank you for your cooperation, and thank you for participating in your local government here in the city of Miami Beach.
Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Made me laugh. Okay, good morning. Happy Election Day to everybody. Welcome to the November 4 Planning Board meeting. We will have a full panel, but Elizabeth's a little late, but we're going to get started. If I could get a motion to approve the minutes from the October 16 meeting.
Motion to approve?
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, those are approved. Now we'll turn it over to Mr. Kalergis.
Thank you,
Morning.
Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the board. Today's meeting of the Planning Board will be conducted in a hybrid format with the board physically present in the commission chambers at Miami Beach City Hall and applicants, staff, and members of the public appearing either in person or virtually via Zoom. To participate virtually in today's meeting, the public can dial 1-877-853-5257 and enter the webinar ID, which is 861-4342-6327#, or log into the Zoom app and enter the webinar ID, which again is 861-4342-6327. If you wish to speak on an item, you can click the raise hand icon in the Zoom app or dial *9 if you're participating by phone. If you're appearing on behalf of a business, a corporation, or another person, you need to register as a lobbyist with the City Clerk's office. If you haven't registered yet, you should register before you speak to the board. You don't have to register as a lobbyist if you're speaking only on behalf of yourself and not any other party, or if you're testifying as an expert witness, providing only scientific, technical, or other specialized information or testimony in this public meeting, or if you're appearing as a representative of a neighborhood association without any compensation or reimbursement for your appearance, to express support of or opposition to any item. Expert witnesses and representatives of neighborhood associations shall, prior to appearing, disclose in writing to the city clerk their name, address, and the principal on whose behalf they are communicating. If you're an architect, attorney, or employee representing an applicant or an objector, you must register as a lobbyist. These rules apply whether you're appearing in favor of or against an item, or encouraging or arguing against its passage, defeat, modification, or continuance. Lastly, I'd like to swear in anyone who will be testifying today, including staff. Please raise your right hands. Do you swear that the testimony you'll give in this proceeding is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, the first item on the agenda are requests for continuance and withdrawals. The first is Planning Board File 250765, 1600 Washington Avenue. Deb?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And there's a companion application as well, which is Planning Board 250765. So this is a comprehensive plan and a text amendment for the,
766 is the companion. Yeah.
correct,
Go ahead.
766
Yeah.
and 765 are the two items. The applicant is requesting a continuance to the December 9th meeting. We do need a little bit more time to schedule the public workshop, which is a requirement. So because October and November are busy months, we're asking for a continuance to December.
Is anyone in chambers speaking on this here? No? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, close the public hearing.
I'm
Neeson?
just here, Mr. Kazan here on behalf of the applicant, concurring with what Debbie has said.
Okay. Any discussion? Someone want to move it?
I'll move it.
Okay. All right, so Yehiel seconded. Elizabeth moved it?
I moved it.
Oh, Melissa moved it, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, move to December. Next is Planning Board File 250779, 1545 Collins Avenue.
And this application is requesting a continuance as well to the December 9th meeting. The applicant has expressed a desire to reach out to their neighbors and have more substantive meetings with them, as they have expressed concerns prior to coming back to the planning board. So at this point, staff has no objection to the December 9th request for continuance.
Okay, anyone in chamber to speak on this? Sir? Just introduce yourself and your affiliation would be great, thank you.
Sure. Good morning, Nick Noto on behalf of the applicant, office at 1450 Brickell Avenue. We are meeting with our neighbors. We've had several productive meetings with them. We're continuing to do so, so we request continuance to December 9th.
Okay, anyone on Zoom? No? No? Okay, close public hearing. Any questions or motions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. See you in
Thank you.
December. Okay, progress reports. Planning Board File 240715, 1810 and 1818 Michigan Avenue, single-family home split.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is a progress report due to code compliance violations and non-compliance with the conditions of the lot split approval. I'm going to turn it over to Jake to provide a staff summary.
Thank you, Debbie. To recap, last year, the board approved a lot split for the site, and earlier this year, the applicant received 2 violations for fencing and property maintenance for the property located at 1800 Michigan Avenue, which contains an existing home. In August, the planning department sent a cure letter to the applicant and scheduled a progress report for the September meeting. At that meeting, the applicant indicated that they had a pending HPB application for the home, and the board continued the progress report to today, pending the outcome at the HPB. The project was approved at the September 16th HPB meeting, including the retention and restoration of the garage portion of the existing home and the construction of an attached 2-story addition. As part of the approval, the HPB included a condition requiring a building permit for fencing to be issued within 90 calendar days of the approval and installation no later than 120 days, meaning that a building permit for the fencing and landscaping must be issued by December 15th and installation by January 14th of next year. Staff is recommending that the board hear updates from the applicant and from members of the public and continue the progress report to the January 6th meeting, at which time staff can report back regarding the applicant's progress.
Mickey?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Mickey Marrero, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, here on behalf of the property owner. As Jake said, when we were here last time, we had a pending HPB item that was approved. And subsequent to that, they have retained a contractor. Quality Construction Performance, Inc. is a contractor. Not only are they going to do the fencing, which is the subject of this progress report, they're also going to do the seawall construction, which won't be done in a couple months, but it's a major project that we've been working with multiple jurisdictions on. We agree with staff's recommendation. We expect the contractor's already working on getting the fence permit. We expect that to be done by the deadline. So everything's underway. We got our approval. We've got contractor on board to do the fence, which will be done by December 15th, and the seawall, which is not discussed in this report, but also a major project that we're doing that will be done by sometime next year. So again, we're okay with staff's recommendation to come back in January. By then, hopefully we'll be able to tell you the fence is up and we're compliant.
And they've cured the problems that were the
Yeah.
subject of the
Yes.
violation?
Yes.
Okay.
You do have the permit, right?
They've hired, we got the HPB approval about a month ago. We have a contractor. They don't have a permit yet, but they're in the process of getting a permit.
Okay.
And the fence permits aren't the most complicated, so we expect it to be issued in the next few weeks and up by December.
It's just a mess.
I'm very well aware, believe me.
All right.
Okay.
Is anybody in chambers on this item? Anybody else are speaking on this? Anybody on Zoom?
We do have one member of the public on Zoom, John Courtney. Good morning, John.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, now we can. Thank you.
Yes, seems like it. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks to Mickey for making some progress here. I will point out to the board that these 4 adjacent properties are up for sale and priced for a larger project. So this is going to be a very long, extended process, and they're going to continue to sit vacant for quite a long time. And so I would just hope that that there's sort of continued oversight and that these properties continue to be maintained in a safe manner for the community. But I appreciate the progress being made. Thank you.
What's your address? Are you in proximity there?
I live across the street, 1026 18th Street. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Guess not. Anyone else on Zoom? Okay. Close the public hearing. Any questions from the board? Someone want to move it? So the motion would be to continue it to the January 6th hearing.
I'll make a motion to continue.
Okay?
Second.
Elizabeth? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, we'll see you in January.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Sure, we'll see you before then. Okay, new applications, Planning Board File 250784, 120 MacArthur Causeway.
Okay.
I have some documentation that you need to, I'm having passed out.
Okay. Yeah, and before Debbie starts, any disclosures on this one?
I had a phone call from these.
Okay. Scott, no? Jonathan?
I had a phone call with Mr. Caston.
Michelle?
Nada.
I had a phone call with Mr. Cousin.
Same.
Same.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So this is 120 MacArthur Causeway. There is an application that has been filed requesting a conditional use permit for a neighborhood impact lot. So this is located within the I-1 zoning district. Within this district, any development that is located on a property that exceeds 20,000 square feet is required to obtain a conditional use permit. So it's somewhat unique to the I-1 zoning district. The applicant is currently proposing to construct 4 buildings and 9 boat slips as part of a privately owned, non-commercialized marina, which will also have offices. But again, private office, not open to the public. Access to the site is proposed along Terminal Island, the Terminal Island Access Road. A traffic impact statement did conclude that there would be no increase in the number of vehicular trips due to the fact that the previously existing use was quite similar. It had 8 boat slips, was the city-approved use, plus office space. So there's really no.
Space at the time.
Correct. So there's really no anticipated net increase for the day-to-day operations than what the previous use was for the property. They are providing up to 9 mooring locations for vessels, but they have indicated that they anticipate approximately 3 to 6 to be moored on the site most of the time. Their hours of operation anticipated are 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. They are proposing up to a maximum of 10 permanent staff members per shift. Those staff members will occupy the gatehouse and the marina operations building. There is a marina pavilion that is for the sole use of the yacht crew. During their time off. There's also an owner's pavilion, which is for the exclusive use of the owner and his guests. Deliveries are proposed between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., and refuse collection is proposed for at least 2 days per week. Staff is generally supportive of this. We do not anticipate any increase in intensity. In fact, there was a previously approved project that had a much more intense use in terms of impact on the city's level of service. So we don't anticipate the day-to-day operations of this property having any significant impact on the operations at Terminal Island or traffic. We are concerned, however, about special events. The applicant has indicated in their operational plan that they would like to host special events on the property with up to 300 people. That is a concern primarily because this is an already very challenged intersection during high-impact periods. I think we've probably all been stuck in this area during Art Basel and other large events. So we are requesting that at this point that the planning board not authorize the special events. So we have a condition in the recommended draft order to that effect, and that the applicant return to this board with additional information, including about how many events they will have, how many events will be during special high-impact periods, security plan, queuing plan for vehicles. If people are going to be arriving here in 300 people in vehicles, during a high-impact time that could cause a backup. And we're
Let me interrupt you 1 second, Deborah. So when people apply for a special events permit, do they not go through that process with the city?
They do. That is a process. But I think when we evaluated the impact of this, particularly given the very difficult congested intersection that it's located at, we thought that the planning board should have more information to understand and perhaps place limit limits on the number of special events per calendar year, or the times of the year where the special events could be happening. Because the planning board, I believe, has done that in other situations, not, necessarily prohibiting special events, and staff is supportive of allowing special events here, but just restricting it to a certain extent, at least initially, to see.
Okay. Keep going. Sorry to interrupt you. Are you finished? Oh, okay. Neeson?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Board, Neeson Kasdan and Cecilia Torres Toledo of Ackerman LLP, representing the applicant. With me here as well today is Dan Moore, who is the owner's representative for the marina, Gabriel Campuzano, the project architect, Christopher Cawley, the landscape architect, and Corey Dorman, our transportation consultant engineer. Let me tee this up here, if I can. There we go. I think most of you are probably familiar with Terminal Island, where this project is located. The inhabitants of that island are two ferries for Fisher Island, one on the west end, which is used for residents and guests, another on the east end, which is their service and commercial ferry with their parking garage. Our property is also bound on the other side by the City of Miami Beach's maintenance yard and repair facility. And then there's a Florida Power and Light substation on the island. This island has always been an industrial use. Just to refresh people's memory on what has been proposed and used on this particular site that we're talking about, for decades it was a container port for freight being freighted in from around the Caribbean and elsewhere. Hundreds of containers would be deposited there, taken off, etc. There was then a proposal to put residential uses there, including a height increase, a significant height increase that was not well received and was opposed by the Coast Guard. And then finally, there was a proposal which was ultimately approved by this board and by the Design Review Board of an office complex there with 160,000 square feet of office, plus a restaurant as well. I would note, and we'll deal more with this a little bit later, that the traffic generation from that one use that was already approved, peak traffic was approximately 250 or so trips per hour, that this proposed use has about 1 to 2 trips, peak trips per hour. So even if we were to have an event, the number of vehicles are less than the peak trips of what was already approved for this site. And the reason I bring this also to your attention is, of all the proposals for this site that have come forward, this is the least intense, the most secure. It will not be having hundreds of outsiders and guests and visitors. It will not be having ships coming in and out. It's certainly the most secure for the Coast Guard base, and it interferes the least with what's happening on the island. Let me pull out a little bit. You can see not only is Terminal Island an industrial area, but the property itself is bordered across the canal, across the channel by Port Miami, and stands some 1,500 or so feet from Star Island, over 2,000 feet from South Point. There are no nearby residential uses for this facility. Let me take you to the existing, this is the site as it exists today. It's an irregularly shaped site with a lot of waterfront, obviously, and a long drive that goes from Terminal Island Drive into the center of the property. The proposed site plan, which we'll go through in more detail, is to develop a private marina facility. I think you're aware that the principal owner of this is Ken Griffin and his family interests. It's important to note as well that Mr. Griffin is building his residence on Star Island, and also that, that Star Island cannot accommodate vessels of the draft that are required, and so therefore this is almost becomes an extension of the residence where his larger boats can be berthed. It also goes without saying that Mr. Griffin has been singularly an extraordinary investor in the city of Miami and the leading philanthropist in this community. The facility, Gabriel will take you through it, has 4 small buildings, one an entrance building, another a pavilion that will be used principally by the crew, and then the owner's pavilion, and then a service building. We'll take you through that in a minute. I'd like to go through briefly the marina operations summary. Debbie reviewed it. It's a 24/7-hour operation with a peak between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. The marina staff, there'll be a maximum 10 permanent marina employees per shift. The crew will depend upon the vessels, but the crews will live aboard the vessels when they are docked there. 5 parking spaces are required.
When you say vessels, how many boats or vessels is going to accommodate?
It can accommodate up to 9, but I think at this time we're contemplating 4 vessels to be docked there. Parking, 5 spaces are required. We are providing 11 parking spaces. We have made provisions, of course, for trash collection and deliveries, and there will be 24/7 security, which, by the way, will be probably to the benefit of the city's facility next door, as well as the Coast Guard, as well as the Fisher Island Community Garage, because there will be 24/7 security on this site. There are a couple of conditions that I would like to address after we have the presentation that I would like to tweak in terms of the board's, the staff's recommendations. But at this time, I'll hand it over to Gabriel Campuzano to take you through the plan itself.
Thank you, Nissan. Good morning. I'm Gabriel Campuzano. I represent BMA Architects. We are the architects of record for this project. So as Nissan was saying, this project was conceived as a campus with 4 different structures that are organized in a way that, as you can see, it is a very low impact and very low footprint project. The open area is way bigger than what is required. And starting with this, I don't know if I can point, but as you will see, there is a main drive that organizes all the project, and the intention here is that along that main drive, there's always a view to the ocean. The views to the ocean are never blocked, and there is a central element, landscaping element on that triangle that you see that is going to organize how all the buildings relate to each other. The first building that we will encounter as we enter the facility is the gatehouse, which is the one on the top left over there. That building is, the purpose of that building is to host security personnel. All the trash recollection and disposition is over there with refrigerated trash as well. There is a generator room that will work for the entire site if needed, and there are some guest parking spots that are required that we are placing over there. And also that is a 1-story building as well. And as you go along that main drive, you will encounter what we call 2 pavilions. One pavilion is for the staff, the crew from the boats that are going to be here when they're off, and then they will be able to enjoy this space. The program that it hosts is basically amenities for the staff. In the first floor is a lounge area with some bathrooms and kitchenette, and then on the second level we have a gym for the crew as well, and on the third level there is a rooftop with a pool and some lounge areas as well. This is a section through that building. As you can see, it's the tallest building. It's 46 feet high, and it's sitting on a podium that is sharing with the other pavilion. The other pavilion is for the owner's use and his family's for his private use. It also has a private pool, and it is a 2-story building that in the ground floor it has lounge areas as well that are going to be connected with expansive glazing towards the pool and towards that main courtyard that is located between the two pavilions. In this case, you can see it on the north of the page. On the second level, there is an office space and art gallery for his use. This is a section through that building. And then the final building, the fourth building, is an operations building. It is devoted mainly for the operations of the marina. In the ground floor, there are some loading areas, some work, some shops, so they can for maintenance, and then in the second level, some offices for the crew. Sorry, for the people that are going to be working specifically on the marina. It is a two-level building as well. Here is a landscape plan. I don't know if we have our landscape architect here that could go a little deeper here, but I guess the main idea here is to have that main road with tall trees that are going to be lining up on both sides of the road, and then there are some very open areas for landscaping, and as I said, the open area is much bigger than it is required. This is the way. This is how the buildings look. There's an architectural language that tie the four buildings. They are made of stone, of a very contemporary and yet timeless architecture, I would say, with expansive roofs that are going to protect the buildings from the elements, from the sun and the rain. And this is a view that we can see from the side of the Coast Guard. As you can see, it is a very low impact project where landscaping takes mostly the lead role here. This is a view from the water into the main pavilion, the owner's pavilion. You can see the pool there, and how the three buildings are related to each other and are connected through the landscaping. I think that's it, unless there are some questions.
Thank you, Gabriel. Mr. Chair, if we have a few more minutes, I'd like to just deal with some of the conditions, briefly go through them and spend a couple of minutes on the special events. Number one, Condition 2D of the proposed order prohibits outdoor speakers and TVs. Obviously, we would request that that be eliminated, as it is unnecessarily restrictive, and we would be bound by any noise ordinances or regulations. There is, as I say, there is no residential district within probably 1,500 feet or more of this site. And in fact, when this board recommended approval of the Fisher Island Community Association garage, the condition was that it could not be heard, sounds could not be heard in a residential zone, which would be South Point or Star Island. So we'd like to eliminate that condition, number one. That's 2D.
Can I
One
ask the
second,
question?
Deb, can you tell us what the basis was for complete prohibition there?
So while there's not a residential district in the immediate area, and not necessarily a traditional residential use, but there are people living at the Coast Guard station. There are people that have sleep there and live there in the facilities at the Coast Guard station. Entertainment level sound is not permitted in the I-1 at all. And I think we just didn't want to have a situation where, you know, they were playing loud music outside or
Right,
something and
okay,
interrupting.
but what about ambient or?
It's not permitted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with.
Entertainment's not permitted, but ambient music would be.
Yes.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure I understood
Okay.
your basis.
You're,
Okay.
you're asking for ambient
Yes,
speakers.
we will be code compliant.
So
I didn't know.
even on a special event, you're not going
No.
to ask us to authorize Marshall amps and a band.
We don't approve
Well, we'll
those.
talk about special events later, but no, this is just for regular use. In other words, he must have an outdoor TV or
Yeah.
speaker at ambient level.
Speaker
Yeah.
At ambient level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should not be prohibited. That's condition one.
Right, but I need to make clear what you're asking for. So you would want the ability to have the speakers and television at ambient levels?
Yes.
Yeah, because ambient isn't
Would
mentioned.
you,
It's in 2D.
I mean, we can talk about this after, but in terms of the sizing of the TVs, I mean, I've seen, there's one house on Star Island that has this huge screen. I guess it's sort of inside the house, but it's, very noticeable or apparent to people passing by and to the buildings on Belle Isle. And so I guess one question is, are they planning, is it just normal sized TVs or?
Well, I don't think they've gotten that far in the design, but understand this is just, the owner's private marina. He'll want, probably a TV, he may want some speakers, maybe want to watch a football game, things of that sort. The truth of the matter is, where all the buildings are, they're basically completely secreted from any public view. Remember, they're deep into the property, and the border to the south is the city's maintenance yard and facility, and the border that is to the west, rather, and to the east is the Fisher Island Community Garage. So, even if you had a large TV, it wouldn't bother anybody. If I may, then the next condition that we want to deal with is an outright prohibition on entertainment. We believe that entertainment is allowed through a special event permit only. And in fact, if you look at Section 12-5, Special Events Permits of the City Code.
Wait, which condition are you talking about right now? So I can
2G.
follow it.
2G.
G, I'm
2G.
sorry. Oh, got it. Go ahead. Sorry. So in other words, just so I understand, you want that to be eliminated so that you can at least obtain it through a special events permit?
2H is the special event condition. We want to, right, and that is a condition we're going to want to have modified as well. But entertainment, there's a separate condition, 2G, which says prohibits entertainment. So all we're saying is that it should be permitted as allowed by code. If it's allowed, fine. If it's not allowed, fine. But I would point out that.
But sorry, you're saying as allowed per code in conjunction with a special event?
Yes,
Correct.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And, and we believe the city code, that's why you have a special event permit. As the city code itself says, a special event is defined as a temporary use on public or private property that would not be permitted generally or without restriction throughout a particular zoning district, but would be permitted if controlled with special review in accordance with this section. That's the city code. So we're saying we should be permitted to have entertainment in connection with a special event permit approved by the city.
What you read didn't say entertainment. You just said it has to be approved. Are you limiting entertainment to inside only? Or these grassy knoll areas with 300 people, you could have a party outside?
Well, for special, I can't say as to special.
Because that's a problem.
Yeah, I can't say as to special events, Mr. Marks.
Well, then you're not ready to narrow this down because what you're doing is opening it completely up full throttle.
No.
You're saying you can have, we'll just let special events determine if it's outside, inside, midnight, playing with a band outside and 300 people like it's a party. That's not a, that's,
But
gotta narrow it.
if I mean, but the purpose of the special event process is we have to go to the city and get approvals for all of these things.
They could green light it, so, or where's the residents left then?
Well, here's the other thing. We can't, and we're happy to have a condition that there can be no sound emanating from the entertainment that would be audible in a residentially zoned district, because they're so far away that is something that I know would be a condition that we could always live with.
What about what the Coast Guard hears?
Coast Guard. Have you talked to the commandant? Does he want
Well,
a
the
party at
Coast-
10 a.m.?
The code,
Or
Let him
12 at
finish.
night?
Let him finish. Go
yeah,
ahead.
we have been in communication with the Coast Guard. I would say the Coast Guard received notice of this. The Coast Guard has had no objection to this. Obviously, they could have been here. And I would say this, of all the uses that have been proposed for this site, this is actually clearly the best for the Coast Guard.
So Nizam,
Go ahead, Liz.
I have some questions, and I'm going to just, so 13 years ago, and I appreciate all this, I don't have an objection to the use whatsoever. 13 years ago, the Coast Guard had concerns about, there was a building, I think it was a parking garage, and then became offices and things like that, and the Coast Guard weighed in on that. 5 years ago, the Coast Guard had concerns about office, and then, you know, how that went. So we have, I'm going to give deference always to the Coast Guard. And our government is shut down right now, and I would like to know a few things. Have you had any communication other than notice with the commandant or the commander of any member
Yes.
of the Coast
Yes.
Guard? You have who?
Dan, would you like to? You have to come up.
Hello, Dan Moore, I'm the owner's representative for the marina. We've had pretty significant dialogue with Captain Clay McKinney, who's the commanding officer of the base, and other high-ranking officers above him.
Have you seen the plan? Have they seen the plan?
Yes, they have.
Okay, where's the letter from them? They've not offered an opinion? We've not heard
Yeah, we
anything?
requested a letter so that we could provide it today, and as you can imagine, it was a very short fuse since we got the request for a no objection letter, which we sent through to the Coast Guard and have been in discussions with them on, and got an email last night from Clay that,
Can you provide that email to us?
pardon me?
Can you provide that email to us,
Sure.
please?
That it's going through the normal process at a high level, and that he wouldn't be able to provide the letter for this morning's meeting.
So, there's, but, you know, when they talk about having special events with 300 people and things like that, music and all of that, the Coast Guard hasn't vetted any of the people. They have they have security control issues. There is, I don't know if you're even aware, but the Coast Guard stores munitions. It is an active military base. They store munitions on site, and it is a blast zone. So my concern is I know that the Coast Guard has the ability to either offer an opinion or not offer an opinion, but I am uncomfortable without hearing or reading an opinion from them. And also, it says the city will provide commanding officer or his or her designee an opportunity to review and submit comments on the proposed changes regarding the impact of proposed changes may have on the have on the mission of the U.S. Coast Guard Station. These are in our codes. That is policy RLU 3.42, and then it also says the city will cooperate with the U.S. Coast Guard Station located within its jurisdiction by exchanging and providing information to prevent encroachment of incompatible land uses in order to facilitate its continued presence in the city. It is an active military base. So the city has not been able to accommodate those in our code. It also says that anything that we will transmit, the city will transmit, not me, to the commanding officer, information relating to proposed changes to comprehensive plans, plan amendments, proposed changes to the LDRs, if approved, would affect the intensity, density, or use of the land adjacent to or in close proximity to the U.S. Coast Guard Station. I am going to ask the chair to continue this until January, until we have been able to confirm from the Coast Guard that they will either offer an opinion. The city has not done anything except offer a 375-foot notice. The city has not given them plans, and I am very uncomfortable with this right now.
Mr. Chair, may I address that?
Well, the only reason I'm surprised is that they were very actively involved when there was a proposed condo, because I was on the board.
Sure.
I'm surprised they haven't, I mean, they're obviously aware of this. I'm just surprised that, right, go ahead, Neeson.
No, and let me say two things. First, to Ms. Latone's comment. I'm willing to if the Coast Guard has an objection, we will bring this back to this board.
You're missing the point, though. The city hasn't fulfilled its obligation to cooperate with the military, and that's on the city. So until the city is able to cooperate with the military installation, and that's in our RLU 3.4, and we have not fulfilled our obligation. I do not have a problem with the use whatsoever. I want to hear I'm always going to defer to our military. That's all.
If I may.
Hold on. Staff, do you have any response to that? I mean.
Yeah, I'm happy to respond. So the RLU 3.4.1 is not applicable in this situation. We're not asking to change any of the comprehensive plan or the proposed uses via a text amendment for this. RLU 3.4.2, we have sent a mail notice to the Coast Guard base,
But we
which
haven't
has,
provided-
Let her finish,
I'm
Elizabeth.
going to, I'm just going to say.
which has all of the instructions to contact us regarding how you can view all of the plans. The plans are online. And, we certainly do hear from members of the public that receive these mail notices asking to view the plans. We have not heard from the Coast Guard
Well,
station.
by the way, we have an open public. Can you tell if anyone on Zoom is from the Coast Guard?
No one has their hand raised. I don't see anything that jumps out
And
as
I'm
a
assuming nobody
Coast
in
Guard
here is with the
officer.
Coast Guard. No one in here. Okay, keep going. Sorry, Deb.
And our policy RLU 3.4.3, of course, we would take into consideration any comments received. We have not received any comments.
But we haven't provided plans. When I specifically asked the questions of you, I asked what has been transmitted to the Coast Guard, and you said 375-foot notice. This says specifically that we will give them plans, and we have not done that.
But it doesn't. It says we will provide them an opportunity to review and submit comments on the proposed
Okay.
changes.
And we have shown them the plans
And
ourselves.
we have sent the mail
Personally.
notice that outlines the process for them to contact us to.
Oh, hold on. Well, this is important. So you're saying, obviously, as an
Yeah.
attorney, not quite under oath, but you're representing
Under
that
oath.
you've shared your plans with the Coast
Yes,
Guard?
we have shared our plans with the Coast Guard.
Okay.
I mean, in addition to the
But I'm
fact,
assuming you didn't share your desire to have entertainment. Just be candid.
Yeah, entertainment.
Hold on.
G and H.
I'm asking a question.
No, we did actually.
Because they're going to be happy with the.
Dan is the one who had the content.
No, we did actually. We shared all the plans, we shared our traffic study, we shared the city's comments to our traffic study, we shared all our special event loading, which we haven't gone through here yet, and.
Which we will.
And when you say we
With us.
shared with them, who's them?
With the Coast Guard.
I know,
with
but anyone in
commanding o- with the
particular? Sorry.
Commanding officer, his
Okay.
assistant, and and a number of officers above him.
And open air entertainment. You went through that. You talked about
No, we just
timeframes.
talked about special events and how
It's
we
not
were.
deep enough.
And how we
We
were
don't have-
limiting
Guys,
our
stop. Hold
special
on.
events.
One at a time. Well, I just want to understand what was shared with them at this
right.
point. So you've shared all the plans with them.
Yes.
And the fact that you're going to seek special event permit.
Correct.
But nothing about entertainment, anything like that.
No.
Okay.
And then.
Why haven't
I
we-
appreciate
We
your
don't know if
candor.
we
Why
don't know
haven't
if
we
there will
heard
be
from
any
this?
entertainment at special events, quite frankly.
What you're asking.
Can you provide that email? Are you willing to provide that email right now?
Well, Elizabeth, he's under oath.
I mean, I'm saying.
He's under
this
oath.
is-
He's not going to say they shared plans if they didn't.
But Brian, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
This is a blast zone. We have not gotten anything from the Coast Guard, and I feel like we should at least be given we've heard
Okay,
nothing.
well, here's what I'm asking you, because they were very active when it was going to be a condo. I'm
Right.
just letting you know. I mean, they
But
came
the
every day and
government shut
opposed
down.
it. If he's telling you under oath they shared all their plans with them, and they know they have the right to be here, I don't understand what the concern is.
Because the government is shut down, and they are not,
All right, listen, I mean,
Can
you're
I
entitled to your
ask
opinion. If they told me they
staff
hadn't shared
a
plans,
question?
I'd be concerned.
why would we
Well,
not
ask him.
wait
No.
to see?
Well, I mean. 'cause-
Brian, can I ask staff a question?
Sure.
2G and 2H. Can you give me a little history of the fact that they are proposing changes? So there was no entertainment, there was no special permits zoned there before, right? I mean, we're saying the Coast Guard was really cool about it being no entertainment, no special events at that location. Is that a true statement? Is that the history of this? And now they're asking for a change?
There's actually going to be a restaurant there on the previously approved, the currently approved application, continuously operating restaurant.
But was it ever authorized for entertainment, A, or special events, B?
No, not that I'm aware of. And I would like to point out that regarding the special events, I believe it is the policy of the city that when a special event permit is submitted and reviewed by the Tourism and Cultural Affairs Department, that they would not permit entertainment in an underlying zoning district that prohibits entertainment, even as part of a special event permit.
Yeah. And currently, it doesn't allow it.
Correct.
And how long has this been in effect? I mean, we're talking a very long time, lots of projects. It's never been changed to entertainment.
Correct.
Okay, we can't take that lightly.
Well, if I may.
Without a writing.
If I may, Mr. Marks, the special events by their nature include entertainment. It is prohibited entertainment in a number of zoning districts, but the city's own code says a special event is defined as temporary use on public or private property that would not be permitted
But
generally.
she said 2G in this particular area did not allow entertainment.
Well,
So it would be like Catch. They had a special event permit. We allowed it, but they couldn't have
Well,
entertainment.
I would propose this because it seems that we're in a back and forth. I would say that we would be allowed entertainment and special events as permitted by the code. If the city determines that it's not permitted, then it's not permitted. If the city determines it's permitted, then it's permitted. We'll go by the code.
Okay, but isn't the code currently saying it's not permitted?
We believe that under special events,
Now,
it's
that's an
permitted.
interpretation.
Yeah.
All right,
But I am happy to, this is kind of no good deed goes unpunished.
Right.
We're not building this to have any special events. There may be an occasional one, and we wanted to be forthright and say that we may have an occasional special event there.
All right, hold on one
We
second.
are happy to be,
Is there-
abide by the code.
Deborah, is there anyone on Zoom that wants to talk on this?
Anyone on Zoom, please raise your hand if you would like to comment.
I want to get the public hearing out of the way. Is anybody else in
No,
chambers?
Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone on Zoom.
Okay.
Andres?
How you doing? Andres Acion, 1000 South Point Drive. I just wanted to say that for the past 10 years, we've been listening to people, whether they wanted to build a high-rise or an office building, and many people did not want to see this, especially people living south of Fifth, obstructing the views. This structure.
By the way, Andres, just identify your address so people understand.
1000 South Point
Oh,
Drive.
I'm sorry, you said that.
Yeah,
Great.
1000.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And this is basically going to be camouflaged amongst what's currently there. So this is the best case scenario, obviously, for the majority of the people that are ever going to look at this, and for the intended use, the traffic and whatnot. Obviously, it is a concern regarding special events, and obviously, I'm sure that you would like to get a blessing from the Coast Guard on something like this to make sure that that they're okay with it, and I'm sure that they probably will be okay with it. But overall, this is the best case scenario that we could possibly have on this site, bar none.
Right, and I think everyone agrees with that. I
So-
think
Yeah,
the
we're not
concern
arguing
is
that.
the
We're just talking
special
about
event.
special
Right.
events and entertainment.
All right, thanks for your comment. Anybody else on chambers speak on this? All right, so we're going to close public hearing. Neeson, it's obviously clear, everyone agrees, there's no question the project is great, it's the best possible use for anyone in the area. You know, I was confident in the city's event planning permit process, but obviously Keith and Elizabeth are not, and so the question is we either approve this the way it is, or, and then you come back if you want to try to amend it, or we postpone it, because I'm hearing, unless the other members don't agree with that. I'm fine with it going, but you know, with all deference to their concerns, you know, the question is, do you want to continue it and show us, I mean, obviously
We don't-
testified under
we
oath,
don't-
but the only thing that you haven't shared with them is what your special events would look like.
And what I'd like to do, if I may, I hadn't completed my presentation.
Okay.
Is bring up Corey Dorman from Kimley Horn to walk you through how these events, which would not be large, we're talking about 300 people, there is probably no location in the city that has a greater capacity to handle these without any impact whatsoever on streets and neighboring properties. And I'd like to have Corey.
Well, all right, let me ask you one other question. So obviously, if we had the provision that said entertainment is not allowed unless approved by a special permit, you don't want to come back to us. Would you be, if we gave you that, would you be willing to come back to us for that? Because I know you'd rather not, but maybe that's the compromise, that we allow you to have entertainment if there's a special events, so long as you come back to planning board so we can govern that.
I thought we were talking about special events it was continued. This said we weren't talking about that today.
If I may, Mr. Chair, let me just, so everyone has a full
I'm sorry, that was staff's
understanding
recommendation.
of what we're talking about. Remember, the office building that was approved here, on a daily basis.
Oh, no, there's no
had
question.
hundreds
Yeah,
of
Nisa, that's not
vehi-
even an issue.
No,
Traffic, it's
this-
sound.
So this is
No question about that.
On rare occasion, there might be an event with none particularly planned,
Right.
which will have actually less impact than the daily use of the office building there. If I could just have
Yeah, go
Corey.
ahead, sir, come to your
If I could have
presentation.
Corey take you through that.
Yeah, you can see the, good morning, Corey Dorman with Kinley Horn, offices at 2 Alhambra Plaza, Suite 500, Coral Gables, Florida, 33134. Thanks for your time this morning. Yeah, just to walk you through, the board in front of you should show the circulation routes. May actually begin just point at that. So hopefully you all can see what we're planning for these special events in terms of vehicular circulation during those events. This area in orange represents the actual valet drop-off pickup. That's where the exchange between guests and valet attendants would occur. About 5 vehicles can be processed at any given time. And what you should also notice too is that this area is pushed significantly into the private property. A maximum of 39 vehicles can queue and stack behind the valet area at any given time. So guests will come in off of the MacArthur Causeway. They will circulate through the internal drive aisle again, and 39 vehicles can stack up to that valet area, at which point valet attendants will then take vehicles off the site and park vehicles in the Fisher Island garage. So in terms of
Just to pause there,
Yeah.
is there an agreement right now where Fish Island Garage can house those cars?
So
Or just something that you would have to.
that is something that would need to be handled as part of the special event permit. But the idea is that the Fisher Island Garage is most active 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And so special events would be anticipated to happen outside of those high impact areas, or times rather, and when the garage is most fully utilized. But certainly a key detail that would need to be ironed out in the special events permit application. In terms of trips, Nissan mentioned it, the previously approved application was contributing up to 274 vehicles during the weekday PM peak hour, so a higher trip generator during a higher impact time as compared to even a special event at this property.
Thank you. So I thought that was important because there's an enormous amount of stacking and queuing, parking without interfering. This will have no impact whatsoever on any of the areas nearby. One thing I would like to propose that maybe would give some level of comfort to some board members as well is that we would like, of course, the ability to have the special events as permitted with a special event permit. But we would agree to a condition that the Coast Guard, we would notify the Coast Guard as when we apply for a special event, so they would have the ability to comment and, if necessary, object. We feel, these uses should be in keeping with the owner's whole way of doing things. It should be very subdued and amenable for them. But we would be happy to include as a condition that for special events, we would have to notify the Coast Guard when we apply for that, so they could comment on any special
They
event.
have to be notified anyway, Neeson. I don't understand why you wouldn't be willing to, I don't have a problem with the use. at all. I just don't understand why you wouldn't be willing to wait until the Coast Guard has been given a full opportunity to have a full review of the plans. I'm sure they know that there's something going on, but we would like to hear from someone at the Coast Guard that they know what's going on, and I just don't understand.
Just so I understand your concern, Elizabeth, the concern with the Coast Guard is just you wanting to hear back that they've got notification, understand the project,
Yes.
or are you directly
Yes.
targeting the special events with the Coast Guard?
I want to hear from the Coast Guard that they understand that they could be impacted by anything.
Okay.
They are an active military base.
So, which I think is an important part of this, absolutely. If this was the first time a project was being brought forth about this, on
And
this.
they had concerns over other projects.
But they've objected before.
But that's what's odd, though, because
Right,
if
they
they were very active in prior projects. So
But
it's
they-
odd to me that they have notice and no one's here for that, so they must not oppose
Brian,
it.
the Coast, but they're shut down right now.
Yeah.
That's why.
No, but
They
the Coast
are.
Guard is-
no,
Or you know what we're gonna do? Hold on.
The Coast
I'm
Guard
gonna
is,
stop.
the Coast
Jason,
Guard is
stop.
operating.
I'm gonna do some order here. I'm gonna start with Keith,
Okay.
and we're gonna go down the road.
Nisa and I support the project. I like the project. I agree that the neighborhood likes the project. And my concern is Elizabeth's in that we don't have a written piece of paper that says that you can have 300 people during an activity time frame that the Coast Guard may not like 300 random people there with no definition of time frames. It could be 3 in the morning. It could be 8 a.m. It could be very loud or not very loud. You would think an active military base would have an interest in advance stating their position and whether we should change something that obviously was in code. No entertainment, no special events, and in an area that's facing them. So logic tells me that I would feel, I would like to hear in writing, see in writing, not even hear, see in writing that they know this plan exists with no timeframes and no volume controls currently, because you don't know what you're gonna do, and whether they'd like 300
Well,
people
why do you
and a
say
band.
no, why do you say no volume controls?
Well,
Yeah,
clearly
sure.
audible to where? He's not saying 100 feet, he's saying clearly audible. Well,
Okay, but you said
clearly
no
audible-
volume controls.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
clearly audible to the base.
Okay.
Are we gonna do that now? Or that's not our property.
Right, but there will be some volume. That's, okay, I
Well,
just misunderstood your question.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
And so I would personally either like to pass it with the current status and you give us a letter coming back that says you're better defined it and they're good with it, 300 people and entertainment in areas and times you do, or, without it or delay it till you tell us.
And if we would be fine with getting that letter, passing it.
Yeah.
Allowing it, but passing it with getting a letter back from the Coast Guard saying that they are okay.
Before, one question for staff. Has there ever been a special event on this area that you're aware of?
Not that I'm.
Yeah,
aware
see,
of.
Never.
there's no history.
Okay.
Well, it's been industrial.
It's industrial.
That's what I thought, but I didn't know if maybe someone rented it for the night.
There may have been, I mean, it was there was a commercial marina operating there. And I think they may have had events.
But is your concern
there,
that with the
yeah.
noise for the Coast Guard or the residents or both?
Actually, it could be both, but right now, it's just the Coast Guard. I mean,
So you
they're
think
the
with
they're the
volume, because you
closest.
live closer to the island in Sunset
Yeah.
Harbor, but you think with volume control that people south of Fifth could still be exposed to inconvenience?
Outdoors with no volume,
No,
limit.
with volume controls.
well, yeah.
Okay. You still think they could be impacted that far away? I don't know the area as well as you
Well,
do.
I don't know what you mean by volume control.
But there's a noise ordinance that limits with the volume, whether it's a special event or a daily event, there's a noise
You mean if you
ordinance.
can hear it audible more than 100 feet?
Right. That
Well, if that's
applies.
true, then they'll never hear it south of Fifth.
That
No.
applies.
Well, that's fine, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so then the real issue is the Coast Guard.
Yes.
Is the people that sleep
Just-
there and live
just-
there.
yeah.
How many, I know it's in there,
Because
but
we
how
don't know
many,
what
how
shows
many
they sleep.
do you anticipate special events in a year?
We really don't know.
Okay.
And it's not, I mean, this is certainly the tail wagging the dog in the sense that probably for things like Art Basel, there may be something, or F1. There'll be occasional
Right.
special events. This is his personal marina. And I must reiterate, I know it's been said, but this is the least intense, the most secure use.
Decent,
that has
again,
ever
this
been
is all
proposed.
about
We got
special,
that.
everything is great, it's all about special events. And again, I'm puzzled that the Coast Guard is not here
Well, and you
because
heard
they've
the-
been so active in the past.
Mr. Chair, you heard the testimony.
I heard it, that's
Sworn
why-
testimony, that not only did, of course, they received the plans from the city,
Sorry,
but
just
that
one
they were
question,
personally
Paul.
shown the plans.
Is there a precedent where if there, and it's not my comments, I know we're gonna go down the road, but is there any precedent where if this was approved, and let's say the applicant has 30 days to provide a letter from Coast Guard, in the absence of such letter, they have to come back before the planning board? Is there anything like that?
Would not recommend doing that.
Why?
Because the decision's made today, and if you're concerned about an affected party's potential input or objections,
Well, the answer is I'm not concerned, but because, I mean, they've said sworn testimony that they have heard favorable feedback from the Coast Guard, so I'm not concerned, but if those that are concerned, maybe that could be a middle ground.
but that letter could take any number of forms,
All right,
right?
well, let me ask you
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna go to back to Keith or Scott. In the special events process for the city, will the Coast Guard be given notice of that if they apply for a special events permit?
I don't know if they are required to, they're not required to consent. Now, are they required to receive notice?
Could there be condition in that they
Well,
receive notice?
Neeson's agreed to that.
He offered that.
Well, we will agree to
Okay.
give them notice when we apply for any special event.
And what if they object?
Okay, hold on.
What if
hold
they
on.
object?
I think the city would take that into
That's,
consideration.
hold on, stop, that's my next question. If we agree in a condition that they will get notice and they have problems, you all obviously listen to those concerns and, or whoever, by the way, who approves a special event in the city?
The tourism director.
Huh?
The tourism director, the tourism department.
Individually? As a, is there a committee? Is it one person? Is it?
It's the tourism department oversees special events. What the special event guidelines provide is that that staff can take into account a neighbor's concerns or objections in the conditions they impose on a special event permit approval.
They can, not
Right.
shall.
Right.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
shall.
But I'm assuming the city would give deference to the Coast Guard's concerns. Is that a good assumption?
I would think so.
But there's no way of us like firmly making, including that if there's any objection from specifically from the Coast Guard, that this would be a no-go.
So
Rather
requiring
than
the
a
Coast Guard's
no-go, but they'd have to
consent.
accommodate their concerns.
Right, well, I mean,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
just
I mean-
giving it more weight than just the
Right.
regular.
If the board has, the board has authority to, as part of your approval, prohibit any special event.
No, but that's not what we
permits.
wanna
So-
do.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying I think it would follow that you could require the Coast Guard, you could require the city to take into account the Coast Guard's objections. You could require, I think,
Okay, so we
arguably, you could
condition-
require their consent.
We can condition that the person who decides on special events required to take into account the Coast Guard's concerns and address them accordingly. That
We
could
are
be a
happy with-
condition. We can oppose that on the
You
city.
could, I think you could include that condition. I also think if you wanted to, you could require consent.
I think required consent might be more.
Right, because that way, if you require Coast Guard consent, if they have concerns, they will have to address them to
Right.
the point where they'll then agree to it.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
We're fine with that.
I'm gonna go back to, who's next, Scott? Go ahead.
Scott?
Yeah, I think we pretty much, just in that last discussion,
Let's go through it again.
resolved a lot of the questions, at least things I would have brought up. Look, I don't have a problem with the project, with what you're asking for, the special events and the entertainment. What you proffered, I think will help to get consent from the Coast Guard for special events. The only thing is, I do want to wait, though, till we hear from the Coast Guard before we approve it. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, what you mentioned, that the Coast
Mr.
Guard
Dan
has this,
Moore.
and you're waiting for a letter from them. I guess goes up the chain, and then a bunch of people have to review it. I would just like to hear back from them that they're okay with this.
And I would like to conclude my.
I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
I don't think we're giving enough weight to the staff recommendation that actually thought of all this. And they said, approve everything but the special, the special events. That's what we're concerned about hearing from the Coast Guard. I don't think we can prospectively come up with a solution. I think we get that in front of us once we have that letter, hopefully, that outlines the Coast Guard's position, and we approve everything but the special events and entertainment change until we hear from them. January 6th.
Well, are you saying approve, but as bifurcate the special events?
Well, that's the recommendation.
Yeah.
Approve everything except
Bifurcate the
except the
special
two, the GH.
Yeah,
Come
now-
back
now-
with a letter or the Coast Guard Commandant, and we'll be cool. We'll approve.
Understood. Mr. Chair, if I may briefly address this, I also want to put a little bit of context onto this. We have been working, Dan Moore and his team, closely with the Coast Guard. In fact, the Coast Guard used our space to land helicopters. There's a very close working relationship. And this is actually, as I've said more than once, this is the best use the Coast Guard can have and is beneficial actually to the Coast Guard. I think we can get around the issue by saying, and we are willing to do this, that they, as to any special event, they will receive notice, and if they object, that the city can deny the special event. I don't know what more we could offer in that regard, because we are working closely with them. We will work
So
closely with them.
Keith, Elizabeth, what is not okay with that? If they're getting notice and they have the right to object, and if they
If I may
object, it will
add-
not be granted.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, if
Yeah.
I may add, our ownership's goal is to support the mission of the Coast Guard. We've worked with the Coast Guard hand in hand on a
Right.
number of a variety of issues. We have a great relationship with them, and we wouldn't want to have any event that the Coast Guard had any issue with.
Right, so I hear you,
I'm okay with that.
Okay,
Except
I
that.
think it's reasonable.
I don't have it in front of me anymore, but you were saying allow entertainment. I would change that to say allow it under special events
Correct.
only.
That's
Well, but
exactly,
that's
that's
what the
what it
language
says.
is.
Did it say that?
says, yeah.
Entertainment is allowed
Exactly.
only
In
as
fact, we
per
may
the
even
special
host
event.
as a special event the Coast Guard Ball.
Okay.
No, listen, I appreciate everything you're saying, and I'm fine with it. Obviously, I have the respect to my board members, and,
Yeah.
to me, if they get notice, and the city has to listen to them, and if they object, you guys work it out until they
Work it out.
consent.
Yeah.
We're
I'm
fine
fine
with
with that.
that.
Okay.
We're fine with that.
All right, Scott, let's go back to order. Scott, any other?
I'm okay with that.
Okay,
With that,
Jonathan?
I'd
Okay
be
with that.
okay.
It's not as much the approval from the Coast Guard that bothers me, it's the potential for noise emanating from speakers and entertainment, special events to the people who are living on the Coast Guard station. Additionally, the lighting impact and speaker, potentially music impact to South of Fifth residents. We don't know. It's too early to tell. And one of the issues that staff had was the lack of specificity or lack of clarity in terms of what specifically is planned. And until the city is comfortable with it, I don't think I'm comfortable with it. One of the questions I have is, do you plan on having pre-construction special events like this season before any buildings are done?
I don't think there's any plan yet, any planned special events.
That's one of the things I would say, when there's no supporting structures, that puts a bigger burden on the neighboring, area and the traffic. And so, I'm definitely against any special events until it's done, the project is done and able to support that many people there. But with 10 events, special events, or a year, that's almost monthly events. I'm not saying he's planning on that, but he has the option to, and, he's a very philanthropic person. He could be, saying to different organizations, yeah, host your event here, and it ends up being once a month other than the summer months. The other thing that we really haven't discussed is traffic in the area. So assuming even 5 of them, only limited to 5, is are during peak season. During Art Basel, you could do 3 back-to-back. And, I mean, we all know that juncture right there on MacArthur is just brutal. I understand that there previously was an office building there, and I remember looking at the traffic study, and that was a concern of everybody's. But I think that more attention needs to be given to what's planned for these special events. There's clearly a dispute or a disagreement between the city as to whether entertainment's allowed there as part of a special event or not. The applicant feels that there is entertainment allowed with the special event. The city has indicated right now that they don't believe that entertainment would be allowed even with a special event permit. I think now is the time to address that while we have oversight of this project, instead of waiting until it's too late, because once it's too late, then we have the South of Fifth residents up in arms saying, we hear all this, we see the lights coming from it, it's monthly, or it's causing chaos, the backup of traffic, and at that point, there's really nothing we can do about it. And the other thing I think we need more specificity in terms of traffic, parking. I understand that garage is there, but they're still renovating. They're going to be, I know we approved the renovation to it, so I don't know whether that means they're taking some parking out of service for 2 years or whatever it may be.
May I address that?
Sure.
Okay, so a couple of things. And first of all, I did, again, that's where Corey Dorman went there. There is an extraordinary amount of stacking and queuing space allowed, so that for any event of 300 people, there will never be any spillover onto the causeway. It's just, you can look at the geometry of the property, the length of the driveway, and you can see that literally can never be a problem. In terms of the parking, we are also working very closely with the Fisher Island Community Association, because the intention is that we will be using their garage if and when on a rare occasion there is a special event, which would usually be a weekend or evening. We're trying to as well coordinate with the fact that any expansion to their garage be completed in time for when this marina facility is built.
Right, but it's tentative, right? So there's no real, firm agreement with, I know you're working with them, and I appreciate that, and I'm sure it might work to their benefit because they would love the extra, revenue. But I'm just, it's all sort of, and I don't know, is there anything limiting you to 300 people for a special event?
Well, what we put in the proposed condition would say that.
Okay.
But, again, it's, among other things as well, this board, in your order, retains jurisdiction for when, after this project is completed, to bring us back. And I do have to give some perspective. Mr. Griffin has now lived in this community for 3 or 4 years. He does not have a reputation as someone who regularly throws wild, large parties. We have to understand who we're dealing with. This is a private marina for a person who has been, frankly, a model citizen and is now soon to be a resident of Miami Beach with his main home on the closest residential neighborhood to this site. I mean, I think we have to take this into account.
The problem with that is, and I think we all acknowledge that in his contributions to the community. The problem is we've seen this property trade like 3 times in the last 10 years.
And you can put a condition if there's a different owner, you come back. We have to come back.
That's
for
already
that.
in, already in the.
No, it's just that we would have to.
It's saying if there's 50% or more ownership
My turn?
They're changed.
Okay, and that's, obviously, he's not buying this to flip property. This is this is a long-term. But if, if you're concerned that someone else is going to come in and buy it, we'll come back to the board.
All right, Jonathan, you.
I think the comments from everyone on the board have definitely been helpful. And I think we could get this to a place where all the concerns are hopefully alleviated. If we were to get to a point where, we made a motion, some of the things that I would look for, which hopefully the applicant would agree to, is a few things. Number one, a progress report. This is obviously a very specific use with something that might impact not just residents, but also, government organizations. So what I would say is that there's a progress report that has to happen, let's call it every 6 months for the first 2 years. That's something that I would look for, so that the Coast Guard has another chance to speak throughout that time period, as well as the residents of.
The only problem with that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, is that if the concern is special events, then bringing them back for progress reports
Not
on
at all,
a regular basis.
Well, it's not regular, it'd be every 6 months, so you would have a window.
Once every 6 months.
Once every 6
Oh, I'm
months
sorry, I
for
thought
the
you said
first
every
2 years,
month.
for the
Okay.
first 2 years.
Okay.
That's first of all. Second of all, I would say that something has to be included in here where parking has to be self-contained on terminal aisle. So, whether, kind of to your concern, whether the Fisher Island garage happens or not, whatever it is, that's now the problem of the applicant, where they have to figure out how everything is self-contained. You don't have runners running to who knows where, which would obviously create even more congestion. I think that, kind of what's been discussed beforehand, where Coast Guard has to be sent notice of any and all special events, and they have, an opportunity to either, give their comments or object, and there should be something in there where, the city has to take their consideration, or I'd say we need the Coast Guard's approval.
Yishiel, what do you think about, and Neeson also, what if it's, I don't know if this is able to be done, but I would feel more comfortable if it were sent to the commander of the Coast Guard so that they would be able to weigh in, because,
You're saying
when I
the,
see.
you're saying the notice of the
Yes,
special
and-
events?
yeah,
No, I
because-
think,
because-
but that's who I think should get it.
commander of the-
That's who they
They've been
claim.
speaking
They've
on
been
it.
Because
speaking.
when I see notices for special events, we get an email and it'll say North Beach, South Beach,
Yeah,
Mid
no,
Beach.
not like, I'm saying it should be
Yeah,
specifically
exact-
addressed
okay.
to the
To the
commander of
commander,
whoever's in
commandant,
Coast
whatever he
Guard.
is. Yes, yes.
And that's kind of how it should proceed. In terms of the special events, kind of my biggest concern in seeing this was the 10, because to your point, if you have 10, you could really do one a month, whatever it is. Mr. Griffin has only been here for, 4 years? It's usually at the 5th year that they take on the Miami mantra of loving those ragers. But assuming that doesn't happen to Mr. Griffin, I would love to see it
We
maybe
don't think that'll happen.
8 or whatever it is, because that kind of makes sure that he can't, have one a month or something that might be totally problematic for the nearby areas. So, that's kind of how I view it. I think that's a compromise that really incorporates all the different concerns. And if there was consensus, that's the motion that I would make.
Can I ask the city, number one is, when they do special events, do they do traffic studies? Like, is that part of it?
It is, depending on the magnitude of the event. So they take that into consideration, and typically, a large event, 300 people would be considered a large event, have a circulation parking plan required as part of that.
And then in terms of your recommendation not to approve the special events section at this juncture, what, other than like things that we've discussed, were there any other things that you felt that you were missing that normally would be part of this sort of application?
Yeah, we would have liked to have seen the hours of operation for a special event, if this is going to be a 2 a.m., 5 a.m. I think, for this type of very unique facility, I think a security plan would be important, not only for the Coast Guard, but the marina itself is going to be very high security, and there's going to be a lot of people probably wanting to go to these parties. So I had questions about, well, are they really going to allow vehicles that far into the site? Or are they going to stop them much closer to the gate and do a security check? That could cause a backup of traffic,
I
right?
think
They're
what
not just going to let cars drive in. They're going to have a checkpoint where either they're going to inspect the vehicle or, get everyone's identities in the car confirmed before they let them.
When an applicant applies for a special permit, do they apply kind of all at once, or it's one at a time?
One at a time.
One at a time, okay. So, I mean, assuming that's the case then, and there were issues with, that one event, then they would come back again for the next approval, and it would either be approved or denied based on whatever experience was originally had, correct?
Correct. The special events permit are discretionary by the city.
Right,
So-
but everything you just concerned, everything you express as a concern, wouldn't that be
Right.
also the concern of the person who grants the permit?
Exactly.
Potentially.
Hold on.
And Mr. Chair, we've
just
also
I
showed
wanna make sure.
you that there's a 21 stacking and queuing spaces behind the security checkpoint. I mean, look at the geography of this location. We have more than ample room to accommodate events of the size we're talking about. No place in the city I can think of that is better suited for that.
Okay, so I just want to ask staff something, because my view is, if they agree to the 100 feet audible, plainly audible, and they require Coast Guard consent, I'm fine with the whole thing. Are you fine with that?
Yeah, I think.
And when I say Coast Guard consent, that they have to consent. So if they have objections, they're gonna have to communicate with the Coast Guard, figure out what their objections are, and come to an agreement. And if they do, and the Coast Guard says, we're good with this, then we're good. And if they say, no, we're not, then they won't issue it. Are you good with, I find that
I think
as,
particularly with Coast Guard consent, that definitely takes care
Okay.
of the impact.
You
of the
okay with
Coast
that?
Guard
We're
station.
fine with that.
all right, then I'm gonna pass it on to
And-
Melissa. Then I think with
And what
those,
about the other things that I?
And all of the other conditions you mentioned, Mr. Cement, we are agreeable to.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, Melissa.
What about pre-completion, project completion of special events?
Yeah, I'll include
Yeah,
that in there.
not until it's done.
That's fine.
So you would need a TCO on the project in order to start having, or to be eligible to apply for a special.
That's
permit.
fine. It's going to be a construction site. We're not going to want to have people having,
Yeah, you're not gonna have
parties there.
security ready and operations, so
We'll
you
have
need a
sec-
TCO.
yeah.
Just out of curiosity, a question to the city, to the staff here, sorry. When a project is approved like this, and there is some of the concerns here that they would be able to do an event while the construction is not totally finished, when we approve a project, isn't it under the condition that everything is laid out, and the architecture is laid out, that the landscaping is laid out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anything would technically prohibit them from trying to apply for a special events permit notwithstanding this approval. But I think, that special events are also reviewed by the fire department, and life safety codes are required to be complied with, and I don't think to my knowledge, an active construction site would not be
Yeah,
eligible
this is going to be a
for
construction
special
site,
events
so.
permit. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may, there's no plan for any pre-construction activity. We're doing a major port seawall job. We're all permitted and just waiting for the City of Miami Beach building permit. We have Durham, Army Corps.
Okay, we're gonna add that as a
But- So
condition.
then, like, to me, it's like, it's gonna take at least, a year and a half, 2 years to
Our
do this.
contractor is mobilizing into the site on November 15th.
Right, and that's great. What's the rush to push through these special events approvals now before the final?
Well, hold on, did you just hear all the conditions we're putting on them?
I did. I still, like, they haven't been, that analysis hasn't really been done by the city. Not to mention, these plans can change, right? So like construction plans change. We haven't seen a security plan, a queuing plan. I'm just saying.
Well, there is a queuing plan.
There's-
and
Not
there
for a
will be
special event.
there will be 24-hour security on this site all the time.
You know what, we've heard enough, we're gonna go, and we're gonna
So-
vote, and if it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass.
All right,
Melissa, go
so
ahead.
I'm in line with most of what Ashil has pointed out that we want as conditions. One thing that is a concern is what staff has mentioned is, there's going to be some security checkpoints. And so I would like a condition also in there that, is framed in a way where we know that this is not going to be an issue of queuing again due to security checkpoints. And in regards to parking, the same thing, on-site parking is an important part so that we're not creating any issues. And I'm assuming there's other ways of dealing with it. You guys have a big dock. I mean, maybe there's a external at another port where people are moved from one parking space to the property. I don't know, but there has to be definitely a part of the plan, like a clarity that there won't be any backup, whether it's for the security point or the traffic for the parking. So I would like for us to make sure if we're going to move forward that this is like super clear that we're not going to be dealing with that. I am not concerned with the type of parties that are going to happen there from knowing indirectly. My kids go to school with Mr. Griffin. He's a member at the same golf course. He's respectful, so I don't think we're dealing here with noisy parties. But again, as the rest of the board is speaking of, we just got to make sure that this is not affecting their direct neighbor, which is the main concern. So there's a balance for us to be approving so that you guys can be moving forward and at the same time addressing our concerns. I think the Coast Guard is a big one that you guys failed not showing up with some of the support that we needed to see. I think with all the conditions we're putting in today, it addresses some of our concerns and it puts at least a slowdown to should they have any concerns that they have a chance to be showing up or addressing. So
What do you think about hours? We haven't even talked about that.
we have not talked about the hours.
That would be
and-
subject to the special events.
Correct. So
That
they would
the
be doing-
Coast Guard
and-
would
and-
have to approve.
And truly, again, at this point, the hours, this is not a residential neighbor, this is an isolated, so the only direct neighbor is the Coast Guard, we're putting in the condition that they get to review it anyway.
Correct.
So I think we address that and we're passing that on to them to make sure that they're comfortable with it. So, to me, it's pretty straightforward. I think we should be moving it forward with the conditions, because there's no point in bringing people back over and over again when we're gonna be doing the same discussion back then. The only concern was with the Coast Guard, and I think we're addressing it in what we're putting as conditions in here.
So can you guys, let's lay out what the conditions are before we vote. Can we do that?
If
Who wants to
if
do
I
that?
if I were to make
the motion.
If I were to make the motion would be for the approval of the project as well as the special events, provided that the following takes place. Number one, the applicant has to come back before the board every 6 months for 2 years following issuance of CO. Number two, instead of 10 permitted special events, I would suggest 8 special events. Number three, all parking has to be self-contained on terminal aisle. Number four, no special events until receipt of TCO. Number three, the Coast Guard has to provide approval.
Number 5, actually.
Sorry, number 5, for all special events.
Each and every.
Number 6, any future owner has to come back before the board regardless of whatever percentage ownership is transferred. And then the last one would be, there shall be no queuing on the causeway as a result of the special events or any type of special events plan.
We agree to all of that. Mr. Cement, there's one typo in the order, number 2I, where it says about no parking may occur between the gatehouse and the edge of the roadway. It says all parking that exceeds 6 allotted
11,
guest parking spaces are required to park in the interior. That should be 11. There are not 6.
Right.
Correct. That's my motion.
Can we say for the, so for the 2D, for the fire bill, for the speakers and televisions, direct the speakers away from the Coast Guard station?
Ambient.
And also that
And-
any and all sound shall be ambient.
Yes, thank
Any and
you.
all
Oh,
sound
that was going to be my ad.
Oh, no.
Fine with that.
Accepted.
All right, I would second that.
Accepted, all conditions accepted.
Okay.
And if
By the way, to be honest, I think even if we were to continue this, I think
short-term
we're in a way
rentals?
better position today than we would have been
Right.
if this was continued.
All
to
right,
next
so we have a
month.
second. I'd like you to do roll call on this one, so. Pete?
Okay,
Yes.
if I could just add a condition for your consideration. So in the transportation memo, they had, the Transportation Department had a recommended condition. It's on page 3 of the transportation memo. It's condition number 2, that a special events permit will be required for private events this is basically a standard condition that the operational plan must be provided to the Transportation Department as part of the special events process. That wasn't put in because we were recommending that the special events be continued, but if the board is inclined to approve
We're
the
fine with
special
that.
events,
Accepted.
we would like that condition to be included.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
And if I could just make one clarification, condition I, where it says 6, those 6 spaces, that was a condition from transportation, and I believe they're referring to the specific 6 spaces that are located
In
pretty
front.
much adjacent to the street.
Right.
Yes.
They're saying there are 11 spaces in front, though.
There are 11 guest spaces.
But, right, the 6,
Total.
the 6.
But as long as we understand clearly that that refers to the 6 spaces in front.
Yes, that condition is specific to only those 6 spaces.
Yeah.
Okay. There's the motion.
You
All right.
satisfy my Coast Guard.
Yeah, they
You
have to
said-
approve. All right,
There we
Keith,
go.
Is it seconded?
we're voting, yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I can assure you,
World
this
peace
will,
is
we will be
next.
the best neighbor the Coast Guard has
Yeah.
ever had.
You earned your money.
Thanks for all your presentations. It helps, and glad we could come to a fair resolution, so.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on to comprehensive plan code amendments. First is Planning Board File 250805, temporary conditional use regulations in commercial districts.
Okay,
It's on page, it's not numbered. It's not numbered anyway.
We don't have numbers this time.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Deb.
thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is legislation that is sponsored by Commissioner Alex Fernandez pertaining to temporary regulations, specifically targeting the vacancies in our commercial corridors. So what this ordinance would do, it would allow, if a project meets certain thresholds and is located in one of the targeted commercial corridors, a staff review and approval of what would normally be a CUP in front of this planning board in terms of, the occupancy of an alcoholic beverage establishment. We discussed this ordinance at the October meeting, if the board members recall, and we were tasked with coming back with some modifications to address some of the concerns expressed by the board members. We also have been in communication with the item sponsor for some of these changes. So if I'm just going to really quickly go through the differences between last month and what is before you today. The first change is that the 41st Street corridor between Alton Road and Pine Tree Drive has now been included as one of the eligible areas. The criteria has been modified to include the following. So number one, that existing businesses with a previously approved or an existing CUP are not eligible for this administrative approval. Our concern was that we have existing CUPs that maybe some of the property owners would not like certain conditions that are in their existing CUP. So they say, you know what, we're going to abandon our CUP and we're going to go for administrative approval. So this would help avoid that. The ordinance has also been amended to include a prohibition on rooftop activation. So rooftop activation would not be eligible for an administrative approval. The maximum occupancy associated with a neighborhood impact application has been limited to a maximum of 750 persons. Again, this is for the administrative approval. The administrative review approval procedures were clarified to indicate that a BTR for the NIE would be required. And finally, we modified the enforcement and penalties section to make the enforcement and penalties subject to revocation by the city manager consistent to the provisions that allow the city manager to revoke a BTR. So that, what would people do that causes a revocation of the BTR would be consistent with revoking the neighborhood impact establishment approval.
Who made the updates?
Sorry, that would be the same thing. In other words, if the city manager would technically, would he revoke the BTR or would it be the CUP?
Well, it wouldn't be a CUP, it would be what we're calling an administrative neighborhood impact approval. Could be revoked in accordance with the same criteria that currently allow the city manager to revoke a BTR. This is a new process, so we don't have revocation standards, and what we're recommending is to make those standards for revocation the same as the current BTR
Understood.
criteria.
My question was, who actually made all these changes? Because it was everything we spoke about, and I assume there's no pushback? I mean, that's great.
The
the
planning
last
department made the changes in consultation with the city attorney's office and with the Commissioner Fernandez.
So I wasn't privy to this last meeting, but just a couple of questions. Is this citywide? Can we make it citywide?
I think, so we spoke about that last meeting.
Okay,
The
sorry,
reason,
I'm-
no, meaning, we asked the same thing last meeting. The reason why it was ultimately determined not is because the goal is to try and energize these specific areas.
Can we
So
do the same thing on 71st Street?
I think 71st Street was included in it.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was included.
It's one of the areas in the
Yeah.
ordinance.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Look, I missed this meeting, so.
No, we asked the same thing.
Okay, so there's one other thing that you've got in here, and this is something that's been bothering me for quite a while. Other cities have signs posted that are at least this, I don't even know, what are those, the sizes of, they're huge.
What kind of sign?
These, what we see as posted signage, and it's in everything, are these little stakes in the ground with 11 by 14 pieces of paper that you can't read. You basically have to get out of your car to go read them. I'd like to see those in.
Oh, the notices?
The notices, yeah, right here. I'd like to have those where it says, the applicant should mount a laminated posting in the form prescribed by the planning director in the front of the property in a manner and location clearly visible from the public, right, that needs to be enlarged.
What I would suggest the board consider is, this is going to be an administrative approval. So any notice that's required as part of this ordinance is really going to be in the nature of a courtesy notice. If you'd like to consider amending the size of the posted notice for applications that do require land use board approval, then maybe you could make that as a separate recommendation that the commission consider. Because I think if you make this notice larger than all the other notices, it might give a false impression that this one's going to a public hearing when it's not.
So, I guess that, you know what, I'll take that up I'll deal with that in a different.
And you could bring that up as a separate recommendation if you'd like.
That's what I'm gonna, okay, so, and I'm sorry if you can just indulge me for a minute. Are all of the fines and everything everything, if they've had more than 3 violations or something like that, I mean, are those, all that's taken care of?
So, the ordinance has been revised since the planning board's first hearing on this item, to provide that a BTR shall be subject to suspension or modification by the city manager. That is our enforcement process for these types of establishments that do not require board approval, since they wouldn't have like the modification or revocation process that conditional use permits are subject to. And there's a list of reasons for which
The public nuisances and things like that.
a BTR could be suspended or revoked. It's the first page right after the staff report, and at the top it says section 102-381.
That's what I'm reading.
Yeah, so these are the different bases for which the BTR could be suspended or revoked.
Okay, so is there a way, so we see nuisance businesses that have been constantly cited, and they're constantly being allowed to continue to operate. Is there something that we can put in that says they have to have it revoked? I mean, I know it's at the city manager's discretion now, but I've never seen one revoked by this administration. So what can we do to strengthen that a little bit?
Well, this is not going to, when you say nuisance use, do you mean?
I'm just saying, things, I'm trying to.
Because this is
the first
really
one I've
only
seen,
relates to restaurants, bars,
Yep.
and smaller entertainment establishments, indoor only. Right.
The only entertainment that is allowed as part of this process would be if the entertainment was associated with a supper club venue.
Okay.
So a bar with entertainment, for example, would not be allowed under this process.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Grandfathering came up as a caller last time. Since this is temporary, and this goes away after a year, but the NIE, I guess, once you get this, it continues on. Is there a repealer or something that says that the next person that takes over that spot has to come back through a CUP process, that they cannot inherit this
I like
as a
that.
right?
I like that
This
a lot.
special permit?
The challenge with that would be with a project that is approved administratively is we don't necessarily know if there's a change in ownership, right?
Well,
There's
that's a serious concern.
Well, no, but I mean, it's a reality. Is if an interest in a business sells,
Under this process, there's no vetting then. It could be run really well. 2 years from now, ownership changes and they change the entire concept. They can still run on the NIE and not come before this board, not come through any administrative review. Is that what, is that the danger of this?
All of the same conditions in the ordinance, all the same requirements would apply to any new owner.
So they're inheriting the NIE. And we can't say this is a temporary program, which Alex is trying to drive for a year, and we say that if anyone who gets this changes materially 51% of ownership, then you have to, the new owners have to apply for a CUP.
What I think you could do is if there's a change of owner or operator, similarly to what you do in your board orders that for projects that do require conditional use permit approval, is you could require that the new owner or operator submit a written affidavit to the planning director that they agree to comply with all the same restrictions. That will be binding on them. First of all, the conditions of approval, all the requirements in the code would be binding on a new owner anyway, but we could amend this to additionally require an affidavit. What I don't think we could say is a new owner has to come before the planning board because, I mean,
Even though this goes away, this is a sunset, right?
This has a sunset,
It has a sunset,
but
yeah.
once if you get administrative approval during the 1 year incentive program, you're vested in that approval.
You're done, but it could be a different restaurant, a different owner. I mean, it's a you're grandfathering in a program.
All
that's
he's
supposed
saying
to
is that they would
sunset.
be bound by the same restrictions.
Just.
Well, before we
forget-
continue this, is there
Fundamentally, I have
anybody
an
on
issue
Zoom to
with
speak on that? I'm gonna open the public hearing. Yeah.
We have Amy Mayhew.
Amy?
Good morning.
Okay.
Hello,
Morning.
good morning. Hi, good morning, Amy Mayhew with the 41st Street Business Improvement District. I'm calling in support of the item. We are excited by the opportunity to be able to offer the ability for some type of inside live ambient entertainment on the street. It'd be a great offering. And I know other commercial districts in the area also similarly would benefit from it as well, because it's something that's being offered just outside the causeway. So we are supportive of being able to shorten the process just as a temporary time. And then just as a point of question and clarification, the BTR revocation, was that a requirement for the revocation of this permit or no? It would just be, those would be the the conditions by which this permit would then be revoked. Because that's the one thing I'm just curious about for our own efforts with it.
Nick?
The enforcement mechanism that Debbie and I have outlined to the board would apply to whatever use is being administratively approved, right, under the program. So it's not a conditional use permit because this doesn't require planning board approval. It would instead be, we would call it an administrative NIE approval. So yes, that is the enforcement process for violations of the administrative NIE approval.
Got it. Perfect. Then love it, and we're supportive, and we don't anticipate and hope there wouldn't be any types of violations, but we definitely wouldn't want to see anything more dire happen if there were a violation, just be able to suspend that right to ability to do that. So thank you so much, and we hope you all consider it. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Anything, any other public
I
comment?
have one question.
Yeah, just oh,
I'm reading this right now, and it's saying that if the application is located in commercially zones within Collins Avenue between 65th and 75th Street, that is, what if it's within 100 feet of, what if it's within 100 feet of a residential building? As in, maybe somebody you know lives next door. I'm just trying to ask the question because this is saying it shall not require conditional use from the planning board if it's located on a commercially zoned within 5th and Lincoln, Collins and Alton, 65th to 75th. That's neighborhoods. Those are literally neighborhoods like I live in. So all residents, like that's, tell me how that would work. No rooftops, no nothing? Is that right?
So no rooftops, no outdoor entertainment.
Okay.
Indoor entertainment only when associated with a supper club. So a bona fide real restaurant.
Okay. I'm just ensuring. I wasn't here last time, so.
I think
Okay.
you said there's somebody else on Zoom, you said?
Yes, we have Troy Wright. Hi, Troy.
Troy?
Hello, everyone. Good morning, Chair and members of the Planning Board. Happy Voting Day. My name is Troy Wright, Executive Director of the Washington Avenue Business Improvement District, representing over 100 property owners and 300 businesses along the corridor. So we would like to express our strong support for the proposed temporary conditional use regulations. For years, small businesses and entrepreneurs on Washington Avenue have faced long delays and high costs just to open a restaurant, cafe, or music venue. This ordinance provides a sensible timeline solution, limited. It removes unnecessary barriers while keeping strong safeguards in place for safety and quality of life. So by allowing administrative review for qualified establishments, this measure will activate vacant storefronts and bring back what we believe jobs and revitalize our commercial corridor, turning the dark spaces into vibrant destinations. Therefore, on behalf of Washington Avenue business community, we urge your favorable recommendation. So thank you for your time and continued dedication to a better Washington Avenue and Miami Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll make a motion to.
Here, hold on, anybody else on Zoom?
Oh, sorry.
Anybody in chambers on this? Okay, close the public hearing, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to
Send it
send
favorably.
it favorably.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
If I could just get one clarification, is that sending it favorably with the notice provision or
Yes.
without?
Yes, with
Okay.
the notice, with the recommendation of the notice provision. I think it has to be a recommendation, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, the last are, it looks like companion code amendments, planning board file 250794 and 02795, the FINA District Overlay Comprehensive Plan Amendment and FAR Preservation Incentive.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is for a very minor FAR increase within the Faena Overlay District. The district was established in 2015 to allow greater flexibility of uses, height, and setbacks, as well as to acknowledge the historic components of the neighborhood. So the applicant, who is the property owner of 3425 Collins Avenue, which is the Versailles, soon to be, hopefully soon, to be the Aman development, is seeking to amend the land development regulations to allow for a bonus FAR. The bonus FAR that they are requesting is up to 5,000 square feet. And the way the ordinance is drafted, it would be applicable to properties within the overlay district that also have a lot area equal to or greater than 65,000 square feet. So from staff's analysis, that would be two separate properties that would be eligible for this. That would be the Versailles property as well as the Saxony property, which is the Faena Hotel property. Both of those also contain a contributing building, which is a requirement of this bonus.
Does
When you
only
say-
impact those two buildings? There's no other building would fall under?
Correct.
And when you say
Correct.
Versailles, that's the new Aman project,
That's the
right?
Aman.
Yeah.
It was the historic Versailles, which is really, if you've seen it lately, it's really kind of a feat of engineering that it's still there.
They're saving that one little.
Yeah, it's really something else.
Detail.
But notwithstanding that, staff has no objection to this request. At least for the Versailles property or the Aman project, we have met with the architects. And their plan is to convert what is double height space within the shell of the existing contributing building to mechanical area. The conversion of a double height space would increase the FAR.
And how soon can they do it?
I mean,
we've been waiting a
we've
long
been
time.
waiting. I've been,
Working on it.
working with not only through the planning board side, but also the HPB side with the applicant, in trying to be as supportive as possible,
It's been a
moving
minute.
everything along. Yeah.
By the way, is this still Blavatnik and Vlad doing the
Yes,
project?
yes.
It is, okay.
May I just ask, what is the time frame we're looking at now? I see some rebar.
It is, we're going to give you a progress report. It's moving forward now at a rapid pace.
Good.
But Mehul Patel, who is the Director of Development, will give you a brief report on that.
And that whole lawsuit with Fine, that was all, everything settled, done, we're moving
Oh,
forward?
you mean the height issue? That was resolved a long.
Back in the day,
That
yeah.
was resolved a long time.
Long time ago,
Yeah.
okay. Go ahead, Nisa.
Thank you. If we put the presentation up, please. Good morning again. Neeson Kasdan and Chris Pinellas of Ackerman LLP representing the applicant. And this is a pretty unique but simple situation. The code provides that you can have FAR modifications of under 5,000 square feet, and that you can waive the extensive process for other FAR changes because they're so minimal. In this instance here, we're talking about a total of an additional 2.5%. One of the things that is very important, I think you're all familiar with the site. Probably everyone's been to the Faena Hotel more than once. And then the Aman property, the former Versailles, which is in construction now. The text is quite simple. Debbie explained it as well, that in the Faena Overlay District, on a lot that has over 65,000 square feet with a contributing historic building, you can get an FAR bonus of up to 5%. Let me explain why this really is important. And if we are serious in this city about incentivizing historic preservation, why this is particularly important. If they were to have demolished and rebuilt the Versailles, and the same with frankly, the Saxony Hotel, they could have saved, particularly with the Versailles, tens of millions of dollars. To retain the outside shell, the superstructure, is extraordinarily expensive. And so the other thing that happens, though, is you're working within the context of the existing building's envelope. These buildings were first built and designed in 1939, 1940, or 1950, the Saxony. They weren't designed to contemporary standards. So what you find when you're in the process of designing the retrofit of these buildings, there's space that you lose, you can't use, and it counts against you as FAR if you try to utilize it. And we're going to show you this particularly with respect to Versailles. So this very minor amendment gives you some flexibility as you're working through how do you bring life back to these buildings and be able to utilize the space without it being counted against you as FAR. That's what's driving this amendment. And Mehul will go through it. I'd like to introduce Mehul now and take you through what's happening with respect to the Amman project itself.
Thank you, Neeson. Good morning. Actually, almost good afternoon. Oh, good morning still. Very nice to meet you. Thank you to the staff and to the planning board for the time. We are excited to be back here again.
Your name and affiliation, if
Yes,
you don't mind.
exactly. My name is Mehul Patel. I'm the managing director at OCO Group and serve as the project lead for 3425 Collins Avenue, which will become the Amman Hotel and Residences by the end of 2027, to answer the question.
Thank you.
It's been a long road, as many of you know, to get this site to where it is today. Construction is progressing rapidly at this point. If you've been by this site, you'll see the residential tower is starting to come above ground. We're going to be pouring the 5th floor before Thanksgiving, and then it will continue to top out into the new year. And then the hotel structure, which you can see here, the old Versailles Hotel that we're going to restore magnificently to what will become really just this terrific, building coming up Collins and restoring it to the original Versailles, is challenging to say the least to be able to preserve that building. And we've done extraordinary efforts, as Debbie had mentioned, to put up this, extraordinary exosteel skeleton. It's about 80 tons to, resist hurricane force winds and maintain that facade, while we then now start the excavation work there, which is also very challenging to go down, 40 feet below grade, alongside the ocean, and then build up the, existing, new building, if you will, the new hotel that will then attach to that facade. So again, numerous challenges to be able to accomplish this. We're very proud, though, of the work that we've done. It's been an incredible partnership with HPB and the City of Miami Beach to be able to do all the things we need to do to make the project possible. And so why we're here, of course, as Neeson mentioned, is really to, kind of talk about utilizing additional FAR that's kind of captured within the building, essentially. There's an example that you'll see here in a moment. For example, we have restaurant space, and that needs mechanical space to be accommodated somewhere within that, historic fabric. We were talking about using some of that space that's above the lobby, that's a void space today, putting the mechanical into that space, and looking at other places where we can do that as we try to figure out, kind of the ins and outs of actually finishing the building.
Please have that next slide.
Yes, indeed. In fact, that shows
shows
you right
it.
there, exactly. I'll let you talk to this, Neeson, if you would. But I think I'll just, end really quickly to say that, our objective is to utilize that FAR to recapture and make productive use of the dead or unused spaces within the historic structure. So
Before you sit, since you're with OCO, I have a non-Miami Beach question. When is UNA going to be ready?
UNA is actually, imminently, we're having a TCO by the end of the year, if not sooner.
This
actually.
year?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Great,
Absolutely.
okay. Asking for a client. Go
Yes,
ahead.
indeed.
There you go. Please be sure to bill a client for that.
Exactly.
Then that really, Mehul summarized it all. As I said, there are these spaces that are in the buildings that if you utilize them, as in this instance, we'd like to use them for mechanical, these voids would otherwise count as FAR, so you're penalized. This is actually a very necessary tool to incentivize preservation of existing structures. As I said, tearing it down and rebuilding from scratch would be a hell of a lot cheaper. And I would also like to, I'd be remiss in saying, I know that she doesn't do this for the praise, but Debbie has been almost a godmother for this project from the beginning, as she has seen it through every iteration.
As long as you don't say grandmother, you're good.
I wouldn't say grandmother. No. That's right. If we continued to have a fight about special events, I might have said that, but no. And but I really look. Let me say this: this is a very ambitious project, and a project like this can't happen without a hand-in-glove working relationship with the city staff, and they've been truly magnificent on this, as they are with other special projects. When it comes to projects that are this important to the city, they really turn on the afterburners and do a great job. So I wanted to just mention that.
Okay, anyone else? I'm assuming no. Anyone on Zoom on this?
We have some other images of the hotels historically. I think you don't need to see them.
No one?
All right.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments? Someone want to move it?
I'll move it.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's being moved favorably, I
There's
assume.
two items.
And that's both the comprehensive plan and
I guess
the-
we gotta do one by one, right? Let's do the first one, which is Planning Board File 25-0794, the comprehensive plan amendment. So we have a motion by
To move it,
Melissa,
no.
second by Sheila. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, and then the second one is Planning Board File 0795, the FAR Preservation Incentive.
So I'm moving that one.
Same motion,
I'll
Same
second.
second.
okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right.
Thank you very much.
Congrats, beautiful project.
Thank you.
Una's insane as well, I gotta tell you. My goodness.
He seems to be a fan of it.
All right, with that, we will close the meeting. Thank you. Ryan, what's your...